What's going on, everybody? This week we discussed the Tampa Bay Rays and the Toronto Blue Jays series and how Kevin Kiermaier's little slick, thievy hands got himself a gift delivered into his upper back at about 96 miles an hour from Ryan Borucki. All this and more. Stay tuned. Let's get it. Hello, everybody. It's great to see you. Thanks for tuning in to Bondy and Baseball. So, the AL East continues to get tighter and tighter, and we had our very important, and by we, I mean the Blue Jays, because let's get real, I kind of love them. The Jays had a very important series against the Tampa Bay Rays. We all knew that Tampa was probably going to clinch this division. We lost 2 of 3. There was a couple instances I want to discuss, okay? Joe West, legendary umpire, needs to retire. His eyeballs are getting way too freaking old. Jordan Romano comes in the 9th inning, and this almost changed the complexion of the entire game. Ji-Man Choi, crazy good left-handed hitter. Romano throws him a perfect slider on the lower inside. I wouldn't even call it inside. It was the lower part of the middle of the strike zone, and Joe West calls it a ball for ball 1. That count ends up going to a 3-2 count where Jordan Romano ends up walking Ji-Man Choi. I want to look at that at bat. Jordan Romano has a fastball that goes 100 miles an hour. We had a 2-run lead at that point. It was 4-2. It's a 3-2 count. Generally, what I say is you throw your friggin' fastest pitch right down the plate, maybe up in the zone, maybe a little bit in, but put it in the strike zone and make a man hit it. When you're up by 2, solo shots are not going to kill you. Okay, and Romano, you got a fastball that's blazing, my man. Make Ji-Man Choi hit it. It's a man with a stick and a man with a rock. Power versus power. Jordan Romano decides to throw a slider way out of the zone, and Ji-Man Choi walks. And then he ends up walking the next 2 guys. Thank goodness we ended up getting out of the inning and holding on to that win, which ended up being the only win for the Jays in that series. Now, something else interesting happened during the series against the Rays. You might have noticed, if you watch a lot of baseball, you know what I'm talking about. But some of you might not. In the world of analytics and in the world of crazy video footage that we have of at-bats, of pitching, all this kind of stuff, catchers and outfielders, you'll see them sometimes go into their back pockets and look at a sheet of paper. Catchers will have a wristband on, and you'll see them kind of fold it up like a little, what were those things, like a pad? Not an iPad. We had those things when we were kids. It was just like a little notebook, but they'd flip it up. What that has on it is pitch sequences and game plan against the order of the opposing team. At a play at the plate, Kevin Kiermaier comes sliding in. Kirk makes the tag. Kevin Kiermaier looks down as he's sliding into home, and he sees a little piece of folded up paper on the ground. This was the insert that was supposed to be in Kirk's little sleeve thing, little chart that he has on his wristband. Kevin Kiermaier, instead of being a good sport and being like, hey man, you tagged me out, here's all the information about all the pitch sequences and how you're going to attack the rest of our team, and hand it back to Kirk. He didn't do that. What he did was he saw what it was, scooped it up, walked into the dugout and handed it to a coach. First off, you're a piece of shit. Secondly, that's going to get you some repercussions, my friend. We ended up being in a situation the next game where we were losing 7-1, and our left-handed bullpen pitcher, Ryan Borucki, comes out of the pen and sees this as an opportunity because it wasn't a game we were going to win necessarily. If it was a close game, you're not going to put somebody on the base. But it's 7-1. And Borucki looked in, and he fired a swift fastball straight onto the spine of Kevin Kiermaier. Now, if Kevin Kiermaier did not see that coming, if he did not think that he deserved that, then he needs to get his brain checked. Okay, and some of you might be upset about it because it is dangerous to throw a fastball at somebody, but it was right in the center of his back. It wasn't at his face. What does this do? It fuels the rivalry that will hopefully be the Blue Jays and the Tampa Bay Rays in the ALDS. That is something that I want to see, but right now, the way the AL East looks is Boston is a 2-game lead sitting comfortably in that first wild card spot. Tampa Bay has clinched. It's theirs. They won the AL East. The Blue Jays are a full game out because they lost the first game against Minnesota. As I said on last week's episode, the Jays sometimes tend to not beat the teams that they need to beat. But there's a bright side to this. The Jays are still hitting the ball hard. And with baseball and percentages, if you keep hitting the ball hard, eventually they're going to find some holes. In last night's game, George Springer had the bases loaded and hit a rocket right back to the pitcher who happened to snag it to save his own life. It's amazing the reflexes people have if they're going to save their life. Do I have those reflexes? Don't really need to find out, but I sure hope I do. Ultimately, it comes down to finishing the Minnesota series strong and going in with a lot of momentum in New York. What I don't want to see happen, okay? The Jays are going to play the Yankees, and those games are going to be a full game swap in the wild card race moving forward. The Rays also have a series against the Yankees. The Rays have clinched. You want the Rays to play the Yankees as hard as possible and just not hand them those games. But sometimes with baseball and preservation, that happens. You save pitchers. You put guys in, give them reps at the plate before the playoffs. It might happen that Tampa Bay is not going to play their best against Yankees, and that is going to be crucial for the Blue Jays. So the Blue Jays have to finish strong these last 3 games against Minnesota. We just do. We gotta. Because if we don't, we play the Yankees at home, we gotta sweep again. Let's finish this series strong. Couple highlights that are going around in the league. St. Louis Cardinals, generally thought to be out of it later in the year, have gone on a 12-game winning streak. Paul Goldschmidt hit 2 bombs last night to close a 6-run deficit. You got to watch out for them. The San Diego Padres, a team that I thought would for sure make a push against the Dodgers being in the World Series, have sort of trickled off. Anything can happen in baseball. San Francisco Giants. Not necessarily any big names on that team aside from Buster Posey and maybe Mike Yastrzemski, but they are the most complete team package. What they do is they play team baseball. Their pitching has been sensational, and they've clinched. Okay? They're going to the playoffs, and they're going to be a scary team. The LA Dodgers, they're going to figure it out. Max Scherzer, he got a little tattooed by Colorado last night, but as the Dodgers do, Max Muncy hitting clutch homers, coming back to win that game in extras. October baseball is around the corner. I don't know if you can smell it. If you just want to open your window and just go, that's October baseball. I'm here for it. I hope you are too. Stay tuned next week for another episode. Go Jays.
Hey, Bondy, you up.